Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. And you can watch this program live on our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service, and you can catch up this episode later in the evening through our YouTube channel. And right now, you can hear us live on our audio streaming at Evox PBS receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
All right, and without further ado, we have now on the line the Anti-Money Laundering Council through its Executive Director, Attorney Matthew David. As recently, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLAC, is one of the agencies leading in the efforts to freeze and recover assets of public officials and contractors linked to the anomalous flood control project anomalies. And the AMLAC also signed a memorandum of agreement between the Department of Public Works and Highways and the Philippine Competition Commission to strengthen the coordination in recovering stolen public funds and ensuring accountability and transparency in government projects. So we have now on the line the Executive Director of the Anti-Money Laundering Council, that's Attorney Matthew David. Good morning, Executive Director David. Thank you so much for joining us in the program Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is Jerome Toledo. Good morning, Executive Director David. Do we have Executive Director David on the line?
Hello, sorry. Good morning, Jerome.
Yeah. Okay, good morning. Thank you so much. All right, so let's go to the basics first of this ongoing investigation on the flood control project anomaly. So, so far, in as far as AMLAC is concerned, how many public officials and private entities tagged in the flood control projects are currently covered by these freeze orders of the AMLAC?
Right now, the personalities involved include 264 individuals and several companies or contractors. This includes as I mentioned in some of the interviews, this includes former DPWH officials and contractors involved in this flood control controversy.
Oh, okay. So that's 264 individuals. So it's a mix
Yes.
of public officials and private entities, as well as 64 companies involved in these anomalies are now subject of the freeze orders from the AMLAC. Okay, so
Just to, excuse me, Jerome,
Yeah,
just
sure.
to correct the number of companies are 231 companies,
Oh,
which we have just received information from the bank returns coming to the AMLC that there are 231 companies covering different contractors
okay.
also.
All right, that's a lot of companies that are being
Yes.
monitored by the AMLAC. Okay, so can you provide updates on the if you have data of a total value of assets frozen in connection with these irregularities, Executive Director?
Yes, Jerome. Right now, as of 8 a.m. today, the total amount of assets, which includes bank accounts, insurance, policies, e-wallet or cryptocurrency, other investments, real properties, and motor vehicle, the total amount of assets is 5,576,401 pesos and 59 centavos.
Okay.
Basically, it's 5.2 billion already.
Oh, that's a lot, and there's more. There's more assets to be frozen by the AMLAC.
Yeah, actually, we are still conducting our investigation for other personalities involved in this flood control mess,
Mm-mm.
especially those mentioned in the investigations in the Senate and
Mm.
the investigations also of ICI. We are coordinating in relation to these investigations with the Office of Ombudsman, with the
Mm-mm.
Department of Justice, with the ICI and DPWH, who I heard yesterday filed complaints
Mm-mm.
for bribery, malversation, and anti-graft.
Okay, and should the ombudsman as well as the DOJs will be asking for assistance through in your office? Will you provide support for them?
Definitely, we have a continuing coordination with this agency, particularly with DOJ, DPWH, which we
Mm-mm.
had a MOA signed yesterday,
Yeah.
and also with the ombudsman in relation to the following activities: intelligence sharing, case referrals, and joint investigations.
Oh, okay. So, having said that, the we have a MOA signing between three with these three agencies. Kindly briefly walk us through on this memorandum of agreement.
This memorandum of agreement is basically a data sharing agreement among the agencies. They can share information, documents regarding their cases that they are investigating or that they already filed.
Mm-mm.
And we will use these cases, documents, as part of the evidence for the AMLC to eventually file a petition for freeze order
Mm.
to freeze the assets of those involved in investigation, including this flood control project investigation. In fact,
Mm-mm.
in the first three freeze orders that we have filed with the Court of Appeals, it is a DPWH which
Mm-mm.
provided us the information and the complaint affidavits that became the basis
Mm-mm.
of the filing of those freeze orders.
Okay, so three agencies are coming together to strengthen the prosecutory powers of, and also, by the way, this MOA will be would be sorry, the MOA agreement between the three agencies would ICI join in this?
Of course, previously, more than a week ago, we have I MOA signing also with ICI. We did this separately. We have a MOA with ICI, with a MOA with
Mm-hmm.
DPWH, and previously a MOA with the Ombudsman.
All right.
We have those MOA, but these are separate MOA.
Okay. Okay, so it's a separate agreements between these agencies. Okay. By the way, I would like to ask this. So, what prompted the signing of these agreements? So, was this a response to a specific case, or is it a broader move to prevent future corruption in infrastructure projects, particularly these flood control projects?
Yes, of course. Initially, for the MOA with ICI and DPWH, it is prompted by the need for collaboration and coordination among agencies, particularly the investigation of flood control projects. But previously, we already had the MOA with the Office of the Ombudsman, which is in relation to other also all money laundering investigations that the AMLC is conducting.
Mm-mm.
These are basically the purpose of this MOA with this agency: more collaboration, coordination, intelligence sharing, and case referrals.
Okay. So, will this agreement make it faster and easier to recover stolen government money compared before? Executive Director David.
Definitely, because as we very well know, before the AMLC can file a petition for freeze orders with the Court of Appeals, we need to establish the existence of predicate offenses or unlawful activity. As I mentioned a while ago, in this flood control mess, the unlawful activities or predicate offenses are corruption under the Anti-Graft Corrupt Practices Act,
Mm.
malversation, bribery, or plunder. These are the unlawful activities. And the one initiating the investigation for those unlawful activities are these agencies, yan si DPWH and ICI
Uh-huh.
and also Ombudsman and also NBI or DOJ. And then we will use those evidence for those predicate offenses para po kami makapag-file po ng petition for freeze order, and then we will establish that there's probable cause that the assets or bank accounts that we need to freeze are related to these predicate offenses or unlawful activity being investigated by these agencies.
But Executive Director David, is this the first time that the AMLAC will conduct itong mga investigations or rather itong pagre-recover ng mga stolen funds, particularly in these flood control projects? Do you see any challenges that AMLAC may face when recovering these from corruption cases?
Actually, this is not the first time that the AMLC has filed cases for freeze orders in relation to corruption. If you remember, around 2016, you know the PDAP scam?
Yes.
The PDAP scam, we have secured the actually decisions, favorable decisions for money laundering against Napoles. I believe we have secured decisions from the RTC, two or decisions of conviction for Janet Jean Napoles, and we have secured also forfeiture of assets in relation to the PDAP scam. More or less, the PDAP scam are similar or to this flood control mess. But in that case, the subject matter is the PDAP, hindi naman yung mga flood control case. But yung process for us to investigate and to file cases are more or less the same.
So parehas lang po itong ganitong sitwasyon na ng AMLAC regarding itong sa pagre-recover ng mga stolen public funds. Okay, so will AMLAC din po ba once we started this recovering these stolen funds, will AMLAC observe the due process and the rights of those being investigated?
Of course, definitely. Kaya nga po tayo, we have this, for freeze orders and civil forfeitures, we have this rules on civil forfeiture and freeze order which was issued by the Supreme Court, and this applies to some cases where we file petition for freeze order. After the issuance of the freeze order of the Court of Appeals, there will be a hearing before the 20-day period of the freeze order. There will be hearing to be conducted by the Court of Appeals to determine if the freeze order should be extended up to the period of 6 months. Also, pag nakapag-file na kami ng civil forfeiture cases, of course, there should also be a full-blown hearing in those civil forfeiture cases and determine whether or not those assets that we have already frozen should be forfeited in favor of the government. For the money laundering cases naman, of course, may due process din yan. There will be cases filed for money laundering with the DOJ, Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice will file information with the court, with the RTC on money laundering. And it will be a full-blown trial also to determine whether the respondents, yung mga respondents natin, or accused natin ay guilty ng money laundering. Ito po yung tatlong kaso na may ino-observe po ang due process.
Okay. So balikan ko lang po yung katanungan ko kanina po regarding dun sa pagre-recover ng mga assets in part of the MOA agreement between DPWH, AMLAC, and PCC. So if this agreement took effect, how fast can we recover those assets? Do we have a timeline for that?
Yung coordination po namin with the DPWH magiging mabilis na po kasi na-inform po kami kahapon na they filed already cases for I believe these are public officials or DPWH officials, but we don't know the personalities involved yet. in the complaint affidavit which they filed with the ombudsman. We have a timeline. Pag nagpa-file po ng complaint affidavit ang DPWH sa amin, mga 2 weeks after the filing, we will investigate, conduct financial investigation to determine kung may probable cause ba na related yung mga bank accounts, mga assets ng mga taong ito dun sa sinabi ko kanina na predicate offense na corruption, plunder, bribery, or malversation. More or less, similar to the other cases that we have filed, yung 6 freeze orders, mga timeline mga 2 weeks, may imbestigahan po natin yan at makaka-file tayo ng freeze orders.
I see. I wonder, Executive Director David, since we already have a memorandum of agreement between DPWH, AMLAC, and PCC in place. So, will AMLAC will have a separate agreement with the Supreme Court or local courts to make the to facilitate the process of recovering the funds?
Yung tungkol sa memorandum of agreement with the courts or with the Supreme Court, aaralin namin yan. Hindi ko alam kung pag-aaralin muna namin sa ngayon yan kasi the Supreme Court is a separate branch of government. It is supposed to be impartial and independent. Pero aaralin po namin yan kung pwede tayong magkaroon ng memorandum of agreement with the courts or with the Supreme Court.
Okay. All right. Well said. Okay. So one last thing before I let you go. So what is your message to public officials and as well as the contractors who might be tempted to spend the government funds inappropriately moving forward, Executive Director David?
Sa amin po sa AMLC, patuloy po naming hahabulin ang mga bank accounts, mga assets po ng mga public officials na involved po sa flood control project controversy po na ito. As part po of the mandate of the AMLC, we will conduct further investigation for money laundering and to determine whether these assets of public officials involved in the flood control mess are related to the unlawful activity of corruption, bribery, malversation, and plunder. And rest assured, on our part, hahabulin po natin yan, pati mga offshore accounts, pati mga foreign assets sa ibang bansa ay hahabulin po ng AMLC. At hindi po tayo titigil na mag-file ng kaso for freeze order, civil forfeiture at money laundering para po mahabol itong mga ninakaw sa ating gobyerno or sa taong bayan.
And one last question. So, if those assets will be, I think, will be recovered, would the money be returned to the National Treasury for the information of the public?
Definitely po, as I mentioned a while ago, pagkatapos po ng freeze order, we will be filing a case for civil forfeiture. Pag nagkaroon po ng desisyon ng ating regional trial court, civil forfeiture court, they will determine kung related nga po sa unlawful activities na nabanggit ko, ang mga assets na subject na civil forfeiture case, it will forfeit these assets in favor of the national government. After that, we will turn over the assets to the Bureau of the Treasury under the DOF para po maging parte po ng mga properties po ng ating gobyerno. This is the part of the asset recovery system here in the Philippines. Pag nag-file po ng freeze, nag-forfeit po ang RTC, yung na-forfeit ng RTC, mapupunta po yan, mababalik ulit yan sa government through our BTR, Bureau of the Treasury.
Very well said. And we hope these investigations will push through and will go forward as we prosecute these corrupt government officials and contractors involved in this flood control project anomalies. And with that, thank you so much, Attorney Matthew David, the Executive Director of Anti-Money Laundering Council, for joining us in the program. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Jerome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Front and Center will be right back after these short messages.
Maliwanag mo sa tao na hindi totoo yan.
Dahil ang totoo, yung
Totoo ang dapat ninyong malaman.
Nagkalat sa internet ang fake news
Ang
o
ginagawa
mali
ng
at
fake news, tinatapon niyo yung tao.
What they are doing is creating panic.
We say no.
Yung pagkalat ng fake news. And some of it's dangerous.
Sana iwasan po natin pagsispread ng fake news.
At di magpapakalat ng disinformation at misinformation ang kasulukuyang administrasyon.
Stop telling us fake news because you're wrong.
Para sa totoo at mapagkakatiwalaang mga balita at impormasyon, Radyo Pilipinas.
This is a public service announcement.
Discipline is the key. Umiwas sa aksidente sa daan. Ang pagmamaneho ay may kaakibat na responsibilidad. Hindi basta mapaandar lang ang sasakyan. Kilatisin ang sarili, ang kahandaan sa manibela. Siguruhing inyong konsentrasyon ay hindi magagambala. Importante rin na ating laging isipin, init ng ulo ay huwag pairalin. Bagkus, kaligtasan ng lahat ang siyang dapat unahin. Isang mahalagang paalala mula sa Presidential Broadcast Service at Radyo Pilipinas, Radyo Publiko 738.
This is a public service announcement.
Public service announcement
From PBS, Presidential Broadcast Service at Radyo Pilipinas, Radyo Publiko 738.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Still with me, Jerome Toledo, and we just had an interview with the Executive Director of the Anti-Money Laundering Council through Attorney Matthew David, and he mentioned about the updates regarding the actions of the AMLAC on recovering or freezing assets of individuals and companies involved in flood control project. He said that 264 individuals, it's a mix of former DPWH officials and private contractors, these assets of these individuals, 264 individuals, have been frozen, while assets of more than 231 companies have been frozen too. So that's a lot of stuff that has been frozen by the AMLAC. And as of today, 8 a.m., the total amount or value of assets frozen by the AMLAC is now at 5.27 billion pesos, and he mentioned that that amount will rise as coordination between the AMLAC, the OJ, and the PCC will continue. So this amount will go up. So, and he mentioned about the memorandum of agreement between the three agencies, and he mentioned that under that agreement between the three agencies, it will have a data sharing agreement that the AMLAC can use to file cases and to file a case to recover those funds that was stolen from our national coffers. And he mentioned that the process for recovering assets, should this agreement will start with, it will take 2 weeks to accomplish that. So under this agreement between the three agencies, the process will go a lot way faster. Okay, so before we end this program, so we are anticipating actually the speech of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. as he will lead the turnover or distribution of patient transport vehicles in Butuan City. That's in I think that's in somewhere in Mindanao. So the distribution will be led by the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office, and the president will be there to attend that, to distribute those emergency vehicles or patient transport vehicles to our citizens there in Butuan City in Mindanao. That's something to watch out for. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service, together with our technical team headed by Mr. Milo Janela and Hiro Lucero. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.